Si vous parlez français et vous regardez la télévision aux États-Unis, probablement vous connaissez TV5Monde. If you have no idea what I just said, then you may not be familiar with TV5Monde. I'm Michael Depp, editor of TVNewsCheck, and this is Talking TV, the podcast that brings you smart conversations about the business of broadcasting. Just ahead, a conversation with Patrice Courtaban, EVP of Global Growth and Business Development for TV5Monde and CEO of TV5Monde U.S. We'll be talking about the market for French language media brand in the U.S. and how streaming is playing a role in that expansion. Talking TV is brought to you by Futuri, whose Post for TV podcasting system is specifically designed for the needs of TV broadcasters. Post for TV makes going from newscast to podcast an effortless transition. It enables broadcasters to create, publish, analyze, and monetize both broadcast on demand and original podcast series from the same platform. Post for TV is a powerful system for capturing podcast opportunities in a turnkey fashion. It ingests and automatically edits newscast audio for optimum fidelity and publishes blocks or full newscasts to on-demand audio platforms. You can learn more about Post for TV at futurimedia.com/post4tv. Bonjour et bienvenue, Patrice Courtaban at Talking TV.
Bonjour, Michael. Thank you for having me today.
Well, thanks for being here, Patrice. Patrice, for the uninitiated, can you please explain what TV5Monde is, who owns it, and where one can find it?
Absolutely. So TV5Monde is the global French language television network. We're actually more than a network because today we have 12 channels worldwide and also a newly launched streaming platform. So TV5Monde, it's available across the globe. We are in 211 countries today. We reach 422 million homes worldwide. So we're one of the most widely distributed television network on the global level. And we have about 60 million weekly viewers today that are watching one of the TV5Monde series somewhere on the planet. So it's really it's a partnership between public television services from several countries, which include France, Canada, Switzerland, Belgium, the province of Quebec as well. And just a few months ago, Monaco has joined as a new partner of TV5Monde. So that was very exciting news to start the year with the new partner, and we're going to be adding more content as well originated from Monaco in the coming months.
And when you say these countries are partners, do you mean that the governments of the countries or public broadcasters inside of those countries?
Yeah, so the actual shareholders are the public broadcaster from these respective countries. So the shareholder representing France is France Télévisions, which is, the largest public television group. It has 4 broadcast networks in France, and this is really the shareholder from France. From Canada, our shareholder is Radio Canada, again the public broadcaster of Canada. We have Télé-Québec, RTBF for Belgium, and TSR for Switzerland. And soon Monaco will also have a national public television network that will be a direct shareholder in TV5Monde.
So there is more than one channel under this umbrella, is there not?
Yeah, exactly. So I think what makes us very unique is that we are global. So that's not unique, but we're actually a general entertainment network. And if you look at the the landscape, there are very few general entertainment worldwide network. And that, creates immediately a lot of challenges, because if you have news, you can cover the world with a feed. Viewers across the globe, they just expect to watch news at any time. But with general entertainment, with movies and news and cooking show, lifestyle program, children's program, people just expect to see certain things at a certain time of the day, whether you're in Japan or in India or in the US. So just because of that, we have to manage multiple feeds. So today we have 9 feeds of the main TV5Monde network with its own schedule, local programming as well, just to make sure that for wherever we are in the world, we address properly the local audience, of course, in terms of schedule, but also in terms of content that we can offer for the region. As you were introducing this discussion, of course, French language and culture is our DNA, but the opportunity for us is much broader than only French speakers worldwide. So we actually subtitle today in 13 languages, which allows us to reach a much wider audience. Of course, English, Spanish, Portuguese, but we also offer traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, Romanian, just to name a few languages. So it's very important for us to offer this this access, to a much wider audience on the planet.
And Netflix has sort of taken away the impediment of subtitles that so many found just a few years ago, before international shows on Netflix became so popular with subtitles.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, so we've been around for almost 40 years, and that's a very long time for a TV network. But 20 years ago, the idea of subtitle was not as obvious, in certain part of the world. But I think over the last few decades, audiences are getting used to subtitle through, of course, theatrical release, but also with the new platforms, Netflix. So in a way, it's been good for us that viewers around the globe have consumed programs with subtitle on a larger scale.
So since we're talking about the US here, if one is watching TV5Monde in the US, what sort of programming is unique to this market, and how much, if anything, that you're producing is actually produced stateside?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the US, we are a premium television service. So that means that we bring more recent movies, from the last year very often. There's a big appetite in the US, as you probably know, for international and actually French cinema. So that's always been, a big part of our programming in the US. We offer documentaries, we offer news. So we produce up to 6 hours of news program every day, newscast, talk shows, current affairs. We have a lot of lifestyle programs. Again, there's a big appetite in the US for fashion, trends, travel. We have a great show now called the 100 Places That You Must See in France. So it's really a nice journey across France, maybe places that people didn't know about. Even for French people, actually, it's a great program. We have a cooking show. We're now in the 12th season of a program called Épicerie Fine. So with Guy Martin, the Michelin star chef Guy Martin, and it's a journey through region and products, and we have a lot of interest for this type of content in the US. So that's only a small preview of what we really offer on TV5Monde. But
let me circle back, Patrice, to the news part of that. So are you talking about, is that globally produced news, or is that like produced for a global audience in French, or is there a US version of this?
Yeah, so the newscast, all produced from our studio in Paris. So we have our own editorial room, but we actually work with correspondents worldwide. So we have our own correspondents in the US, pretty much everywhere in Asia. But the great thing, having all these partners, we can also work with and collaborate, with the news department from France TV or, Radio Canada. So, for example, in the evening time, which is evening time, US time, we have a newscast, which is the main newscast, I guess, for the US market. So we try to include maybe more reports from our partner station, Radio Canada, as well.
Which be edited for a North American audience.
Well, it's still gonna air, in other part of the world, because some people in Hong Kong or other places may be interested in learning more about these subjects. But we know it's the prime time newscast for the US audience. So we try to have a little more targeted reports as well.
So I want to talk to you about the distribution. I understand that in your tenure at TV5Monde, you've dramatically widened the US distribution footprint. So right now, how many Americans can access this channel, and where can they get it?
Yeah, absolutely. So today we are reaching more than 50 million American, cable, satellite, telco households. And we also now have a streaming offering. So, as you know, in our industry, distribution has always been, one of the main challenge. And in the US, as international programmer, it may even take longer, to reach all these strategic agreements, with Comcast or Cox or Spectrum, but they are critical because, we've talked a lot about streaming, which of course has been growing, and it's definitely a big way of watching video content today. But still, the US is still the #1 market for pay TV in the world. So it's in the early days, from the early days, it was very strategic for us to secure all these agreements, and we still have a huge number of subscribers on cable and other pay TV provider. But of course,
and streaming has now opened up some new platforms and some audience development opportunities for you. So where are you now available? Are you part of some vMVPDs?
Yeah, so we've worked with several virtual MVPDs, which is a great way for us to even offer more content, because we've seen that they may not have the same type of bandwidth constraints that, let's say, traditional MVPD would have. So we've launched 5 additional theme channel on virtual MVPDs. So we work today with Sling TV. We are also available on Fubo, and you can find up to 6 TV5Monde services, which include the main channel, TV5Monde USA, a lifestyle channel, which is TV5Monde Style, 24/7 kids network with the latest animation, cartoons. As you know, it's French language is still very present in schools in the US, so there's a high demand for kids content as well. We have a documentary SVOD service and a movie SVOD service as well. So as I was saying earlier, between all the various services that you would get in the TV5Monde package in the US, we offer about 500 feature film per year through the subscription. And that's not including, of course, the TV series and other programs that we have. And so now, in addition to that, we launched TV5Monde Plus, which is our streaming platform where you can get thousands of additional titles, and it's included in your subscription. So if you are a subscriber of TV5Monde, even on cable, you can still access all this additional content via streaming if you want. We are available on all the major platforms, all the TV apps, and this week we actually launched the TV5Monde Plus app on Roku. So we know Roku is a very strategic partner for us in the US. So so that's all together. You're talking about 10,000, at least 10,000 titles a year. So we think we bring a lot of value to our subscribers in the US.
So if you are not a cable subscriber and you are not a VMVPD subscriber to Sling or other places where you're available there, is there a standalone version right now, either an SVOD or an AVOD version, or is there one in the works to get to potential subscribers?
Right now, it's the service is tied to a subscription to TV5Monde, which again could be on a virtual MVPD on traditional cable. But if you don't want to, if you only want to you can choose what you want to watch. But we value the partnerships with these companies in the US. I think as an international programmer, for us, it's been very strategic to work with them because they also have resources locally, from marketing, especially online and SEO, a lot of things that it would be very challenging for us to deploy as a standalone service. So as of today, we still see tremendous value with working with our partners, on the distribution of the services. And I think that what has helped us as well not to fall into the niche, segments, but in a way remain part of the mainstream offering in the US.
And speaking of niche, we know there's a considerable market for Spanish language television in the US, and that's reflected obviously in a diverse range of channels and local stations alike that are available here. But what about French? I mean, what is your potential audience size in the US? Is this a smaller niche? I mean, we have Francophone parts of the country. I live in New Orleans, and here in Southeast Louisiana, there is a Francophone community. In the Northeast and Maine and parts of Vermont, you have pockets of Francophonia, but it's not like Spanish. So what's your growth potential here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's many sides of the French culture and language in the US. As you mentioned, French is still spoken in Louisiana and Maine, and we do several initiatives there to support the culture. But the bigger initiative is really the Francophiles, people who have an interest in the culture. Maybe they love traveling to France or to Europe. They have an interest in international cinema. Their kids are learning French at school, or they're just interested in fashion and trends. There's French is still the second most taught foreign language in US schools, after Spanish. So we estimate there's at least 20 million plus people who've studied French in the US and still are able to speak to some extent, or at least could have an interest in watching some content. But the Francophile opportunity is much wider than that. And I know it's difficult to capture, but just to give you an example, we have another TV channel just available in American hotels, which is TV5Monde Voyage, and we'll reach about 1 million hotel rooms across the country. And that, generate a huge number of viewers every month. And of course, that's not just French people staying in American hotels, but that kind of shows us that there's an appetite among people, travelers, Francophile, for the content, and sometimes people don't speak the language, but they're still very interested in the content. They would watch. To give you an example, we just released earlier this month on TV5Monde Plus a new documentary film that we co-produced about Jean-Michel Basquiat. The title is Jean-Michel Basquiat, Africa at the Heart. And of course, this is a very big topic right now in the U.S., the arts. And that drove, a much wider audience to our platform, because we brought a new perspective on the work that he did with African artists, and his his only trip actually that he made to Africa, and how it influenced a new generation of African artists over there. So again, I think there are opportunities that for us to create awareness and to bring unique content to American viewers, whether they're French speakers, Francophile, or just want to watch something different,
Of course, Basquiat his parents were Haitian, technically, but
yeah. So I believe his father and his mother, I believe, was from Puerto Rico. So, but what's interesting is from the early stage, there was an influences, from African art in his work, but he never really lived there, So the question is, how did he get so connected to the culture? And I think the film tells a little bit about that as well,
Well, Patrice Courtaban, interesting stuff. Be interesting to see how far you can widen. Well, you've got quite a distribution footprint already, and see what kind of viewership TV5Monde can continue to build. We are out of time, so merci beaucoup for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Michael. It was a pleasure.
And you can watch past episodes of Talking TV on our TVN videos page at TVNewsCheck.com, which of course you should be checking in with constantly for continuously updated industry news and information. We will be back next week with another Talking TV. And of course, you can catch us on YouTube, where I encourage you to follow and like our videos. See you all next time. Thank you. A new episode of Talking TV is available most Fridays on TVNewsCheck.com. You can also listen and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify.